The assistant manager chip is the most powerful chip in the game. It could make or break your FPL season, so let's analyse the data to pick the perfect assistant manager for Double Game Week 25. Slot has a favourable fixture against Wolves at Anfield. Villa away won't be too easy, and there is no table bonus potential there, but we are talking about the best team in the league, which will give you the highest floor and one of the lowest ceilings. Emery's got a very favourable fixture against Ipswich at home, and then it's Liverpool at home, which is difficult, but there is table bonus potential there. You're going to hear me mention the table bonus a lot in this video. It's a massive factor. You get 6 points for a win usually, or 16 on the bonus, 3 points for a draw usually, or 8 on the bonus. For that reason, I've included Silva on the shortlist. He has only got one fixture, but he's got the best chance of obtaining that table bonus against Forest at home. Starting with the attacking numbers, it's no surprise that Liverpool come out on top in this area. They're quite far ahead of Villa and Fulham. In fact, there's not much between Villa and Fulham. They've generated the exact same amount of expected goals, and Fulham have only scored 0.1 more per 90 minutes. But one thing we need to consider is that Villa have got 2 fixtures, which means there's double minutes to score double goals, and that applies to Liverpool as well. So if we use Villa's expected goals as an example, they would be projected to get roughly 2.8 goals in an average double game week. That's because their XG has been doubled. However, with Fulham, we can't double theirs because they've only got one fixture, so Villa are technically double them, and Liverpool are much further ahead than that on 4.6. When it comes to racking up those goal points, it is important to consider the opponent's defensive strength as well, because that's going to dictate how difficult the opponent's going to make it for you to score. When we average out the defensive numbers for Wolves and Villa, it's Slot who's got the easiest set of fixtures again. That's in the conceded department, but when it comes to the actual expected numbers, Emery's opponents Ipswich and Liverpool are actually just as bad combined. When I discuss players, I say that the expected numbers are better at projecting the future goals than the actual goals themselves, and that applies to teams as well, but not quite as much. So if we consider the post-shot XG, the bottom 3 ranked goalkeepers out of all the opponents are from Villa and Wolves. So you've got Martinez from Villa, and Wolves have had 2 goalkeepers, which are Johnston and Sarr. The other 2 goalkeepers that are on minus but not quite as bad are both from Ipswich. That's Walton and Muric, but then compensating for that are 2 Liverpool goalkeepers, Kelleher and Allison, and Sells comes out on top, which is partially why Forest don't have an underperformance. Looking at the defensive numbers from an assistant manager's perspective, we can see that Ipswich were pulling Liverpool's expected numbers further down than what Wolves were doing to Villa. Clean sheets are more important than goals. Not only do you get double points, but it does guarantee at least a draw. Liverpool have kept their expected goals conceded figure less than 1 per match, and they've delivered on it as well. So in the average double game week, they'd be expected to keep 1 clean sheet in 2 matches. Villa and Fulham's figures aren't actually that bad. They're both level on 1.2, which is well above the Premier League average. In fact, in the whole league, there's only 3 teams that have got a better expected goals conceded figure than those 2 teams. Most importantly, Slot comes out on top, and he does on the opponent's attacking numbers as well. When we combine them for Wolves and Villa, they are better for Slot than Ipswich and Liverpool are for Emery, and Forest are for Fulham. Even with the worst underlying stats in attack in the whole league, Ipswich can't drag down the average enough in combination with Liverpool. The goal odds are from Drafthound, and it's just the probability of a team scoring at least 2 goals in either of the matches, and the clean sheet odds are from FPL Review. Based on what we've seen, I'm not surprised that Slot's team are more likely to score goals and get clean sheets. When it comes to Emery, he's on the toss of a coin of scoring at least 2 goals in either match, and at least 1 clean sheet in either match as well. Both of those managers have had their numbers combined for their double game week fixtures. Silva's only got 1 fixture, so it's unsurprising why his percentages are so low. I've carried out a lot of data analysis behind the scenes to get these figures on the screen, including the team's points, so you get 6 points for a win and 3 points for a draw. All the numbers on the screen are weighted. Slot comes out on top again, but that's only from a safety perspective. When you consider the other 2 managers have the table bonus potential, and that's more than double for a win and more than double for a draw, there's actually not that much between the 3 managers, and this is where it starts to get a bit juicy in the video. There's only an 8% chance that Slot won't get a win, but then Emery's still got a 79% chance of getting at least a win. I know most of that's made up of the Ipswich odds, but the Liverpool match is still included in those odds, which helps Emery further, and he gets 16 points for a win. The same applies to Silva as well, and that's nearly at the toss of a coin. Emery's more likely to get a draw than Slot, and he'd get 8 points for that. That's more than Slot would get for a win, and almost triple what Slot would get for a draw. Slot has got the highest points projection on Fantasy Football Hub with 15.5. Emery's only 0.3 behind on that website, but he is 0.8 behind on FPL Review, where Slot's got 15.4. So while Slot's been quite far ahead on the metrics, that table bonus does bunk Emery up a lot. It does bunk Silver up in isolation of one match as well, but unfortunately, Fulham and Spurs didn't get a double game week, and if they did, I think Silver would actually be the best assistant manager this game week, but they've not. He's only got one fixture, and that's not enough to make up for the deficit, so he's my third favourite option this game week. It's between the other two. The decision is really tight, and I think a lot of it does come down to what style of FPL manager you are. Do you like to play it safe? You could go for Slot. Do you like to roll the dice on a higher ceiling? You might want to go for Emery, but I am going to help you decide. First of all, if table bonus wasn't a thing, Slot would be hands down the best assistant manager, and this video wouldn't exist. But of course we can't ignore it, because it is a thing, and that's the same for tripling up on a team as well. I would rather triple up on Liverpool players and have Emery with them than get an additional Villa player and get Slot. For example, Slot's further ahead than Emery on the points projections, but only just. But if you consider the Liverpool players, especially for the long term, they're quite further ahead than Villa players on the points projections. I don't mind chasing the upside of the higher ceiling as well, but from a broad FPL perspective, I think the best assistant manager for double game week 25 is Emery. Don't miss next game week's assistant manager video, make sure you subscribe.